and welcome back to Newfoundland and Labrador Studies 2205. This is Unit 4, Towards the Future, Section 3, Lesson 2, Video 2, on Rights and Autonomy. Firstly, let's talk about Confederation's effect on Inuit. At the time of Confederation, many Inuit still spoke Inuktitut, and some lived on traditional land. Confederation brought some health, education, and other services to Inuit communities, but early government programs were not concerned with preserving culture and language. Social programs such as family allowances and old age pensions were put in place, but also continued the dependence on government programs. The provincial government, International Grenfell Association, and Moravian officials decided to close the Inuit communities of Hebron and Nutak in the 1950s and relocate residents to Nain, Hopedale, and Makkovik. This forced relocation was said to assist in the high cost of medical care, but it created social and economic issues. People were crowded into temporary housing, there was not enough jobs to support families, and people felt alienated as they did not speak the same dialect of Inuktitut or were fluent enough in English to be able to communicate with one another. This image here is from the Hebron section of Nain, where their houses were built all very close together, as you can see, and very segregated. Now let's talk about recognition and governance. These situations and other issues led to the creation of the Labrador Inuit Association in Nain in 1973 to protect and promote Inuit concerns and cultural traditions. The efforts of the association and other activities came to fruition in 2005 with self-determination and the creation of the Nunatsiavut government. At this particular time, Premier Danny Williams formally apologized on behalf of the provincial government about the forced abandonment of Hebron, and a memorial was unveiled to commemorate former residents in 2009. Now let's move on to Confederation's effect on Innu. Confederation provided Innu people with services and benefits as well. These benefits, plus the ever-dwindling population of caribou, led to government dependence. In the 1960s, the provincial and federal government established the Innu communities of Sheshatshiu and Davis Inlet, forcing people to settle in one area from the traditional lands and making school compulsory for children in North American curriculum. This was related to the establishment of Churchill Falls hydroelectric project, which destroyed traditional lands, hunting grounds, and wildlife, thus further separating youth from their traditional culture. These collective traumas made alcoholism and substance abuse common among the people. Now let's speak to their recognition and governance. With decreased land and further erosion of their traditional culture, Labrador Innu formed the Naskapi Montane Innu Association in 1976. Today it is the Innu Nation, representing the Mushau Innu First Nation and the Sheshatshiu Innu First Nation. As a result of the group's efforts, the federal government began registering the Labrador Innu and granting federal indigenous status in 2002. Also in 2002, a new community, Natrashish, was founded and became a federal reserve in 2003. This gave them access to federal services and programs available to First Nations people in Canada. Innu people continue to strive for improved quality of life for youth, a future connected with their traditional culture and prosperity. Next, let's talk about effects on Southern Labrador Inuit. The provincial government's resettlement policy affected them as more were pressured to leave their traditional homes. They were moved to more centralized service centers, which became crowded and economic well-being suffered. Their traditional lifestyle of hunting and trapping was impacted by new provincial game laws and the rapid industrialization of the 20th century. Due to resettlement, the population of Cartwright tripled, putting a strain on services and creating tension among the people. Although aware of their indigenous heritage, the Inuit descendants of south-central Labrador had not formalized a group identity at the time of Confederation. While identifying themselves as Labradorians, other people identified them as settlers or livyers. And in recent decades, there has been a cultural revival partly sparked by the formation of the Labrador Métis Association in 1985. In 2010, the organization changed and now identifies as the Southern Labrador Inuit of Nunatukivuut. Finally, let's talk about Confederation's effects on Mi'kmaq. Mi'kmaq continued to lose more of their traditional hunting grounds to industrial development after Confederation, such as the Bay d'Espoir hydroelectric project. There was a lower standard of living in Conne River in the 1950s and 60s, as opposed to their neighbors, such as a lack of electricity, modern plumbing, and telephone service. There were also no roads in Mi'kmaq until the early 1970s. Let's speak to their recognition and governance as well. In the 1960s and 70s, Mi'kmaq people from Mi'kmaq were part of an international movement by Indigenous groups for rights and as part of pride in their culture. Mi'kmaq people helped form the Native Association of Newfoundland and Labrador, or NANL, in 1972. 3 people from Mi'kmaq appeared before a federal provincial committee on financial assistance requesting funds for community development. The Mi'kmaq First Nation now governs Mi'kmaq Mi'kmaq Mi'aomi, the First Nations Reserve. Additionally, in 2008, thousands of Mi'kmaq people scattered in communities across the island accepted the federal agreement of the first landless band called the Halipu First Nation. So now it's time to review. I'm going to ask you to please complete the activities in Brightspace that I have for you, and I hope you have a great day.